Welcome back, everybody. It is Hoops HD's continuing 2025-2026 season previews. And there we go. Season previews 2025-2026 from Hoops HD.
All right.
Woo.
We
Woohoo.
got graphics. We are way up
Man,
there.
the art department is just stretching this budget thin. Wow, look at that. I mean,
I'm your host, Chad Shore. We got David Griggs and John Teitel to my sides, David Dorman and John Salika down below us here.
I'm
Might
not
have
sure
one or two
I'm a
more
fan
jumping
of
in.
AI though. If they're going to have a wooden backboard,
Hey.
yeah.
Leave the art department alone.
Hey,
Um,
yeah, it's an artificial art department.
we're doing our Big Ten preview show here, if I'm correct. Griggs, is that what we're doing? Help me out here.
Yeah,
I
we're
lost the
off to
show
a
already.
great start here. The 18 school Big Ten, traditional. We're going to look at all the Big Ten traditional powers. We got Washington, we got UCLA, we got USC, we got Rutgers. I mean, we've just got those traditional Big Ten programs.
I gotta say though, with the off season, with what happened last year, Rutgers barely even making it to the Big Ten tournament after all that hype, and being a Rutgers guy myself, my goal this year was to see Rutgers make the Big Ten tournament, and I gotta say, it's happened. The Big Ten is taking all 18 teams to the Big Ten tournament, or however many
you're
teams
in.
there are. So
Yeah.
we're in. We're in. It's a 6 day marathon. God knows what it's going to be, but we'll get to that in championship week. Let's start at the top of the Big Ten, and let's start at the top of the nation here. The number one team in the preseason poll, team everybody's talking about. Uh, Dorman, you want to start us off? How about those Purdue Boilermakers this year?
I love this team. I think they are deserving of the number one overall ranking in the preseason polls. I'm not a big polls guy. I'm definitely not a preseason polls guy, but I think they're worthy of this spot. Painter's got an incredible, experienced backcourt. Uh, there's so much to say. They just handle the ball really well. They shoot lights out. They distribute to the big guys down low. I love the way they have their floor game. Fletcher Malloy. They're just real, and they're team first guys, and they're in the mold of Matt Painter, and they work together. They work as a unit, especially on defense. In West Lafayette, the building will be packed every night. The students and the community are all in for this team. They broke through, got to the Final Four a few years back. And this team, I think, short of a Final Four, and this team will be a disappointment. But this team has everything they could need to win a title this year. The Boilers are as good as advertised, in my opinion.
Yeah, Griggs, honestly, I look at
Yeah.
this roster. I don't see where the holes are. I just don't see it.
Well, there aren't any. The only thing it's rare to see this much turnover and with this many key players in this day and age at any level. Like when you're talking about Purdue's in your elite programs, you're talking about losing players to the NBA, but they retain four of their starters. I don't want to just repeat everything that Dorman just said because he made really good points, but I I mean, this is a team. There's two or three or four, I guess, that we're going to talk about able to win it all. I think they're certainly in that discussion now. I know you got some fancy graphics. Like, what are their showcase out of conference games? I will mention this. I do like. I know that we don't talk exhibition games much on this show, but I do like Matt Painter's strategy. He looks for a true road game against the highest ranked team that will schedule them. They're going to Rupp Arena this weekend. The game is not only sold out, tickets for an exhibition game that means nothing, going for hundreds of dollars on the secondary market. Um, I, that's incredible.
Well, and in regular season, they are going to Alabama right there in the second week of
Yeah.
the season too.
Uh,
Sleek, you're a scheduling expert. I got their schedule up there too.
yeah.
Uh,
Memphis
they,
got, yeah.
they've got a potential Texas Tech game, a few other good ones though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Texas
they
Tech
like
would
to schedule
be
it. Oh, sorry, go ahead, still you.
that would be part of the Baja Mar Invitational, which is actually now exceeded the Battle for Atlantis as far as prestige down in the Bahamas, where they're guaranteed a game against Memphis, and if they don't play Tech, they would end up playing Wake Forest.
Yep. You also see later on they have Auburn on a neutral court. They've got a Marquette home game. Uh, not a bad schedule. Maybe not
Yeah,
not quite with some of the insane schedules we saw with the SEC show, but not bad at all.
not bad at all. Yeah.
Beyond Purdue, the team that has been getting the most love, Titel, has been the Wolverines. How about Dusty May's squad heading into this season?
27 wins last year after only 8 the previous season is the biggest turnaround in conference history. 11 of his conference wins were by 4 points or less, so it's good to get the wins, but he has very little margin for error. He brings in a McDonald's All-American and Trey McKenney, 22 points for Team USA at the Nike Hoop Summit, and his maternal grandparents went to Ann Arbor, so he was literally born to go there. The big transfer, Yaxa Lindeborg from UAB, the only other guy in college basketball last year to lead his team in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks, some guy named Cooper Flagg. He was a 2-time all AAC first teamer. I think he's going to be fantastic. In their exhibition loss to Cincinnati, he had 31 points, 12 boards. He was unstoppable and is, I think, a serious contender for Player of the Year. And, of course, the other big man, Ade Mara from UCLA, he didn't do anything last year. He came off the bench, but he's allegedly going to be a possible first-round pick in 2026, despite being a bench player in 2025.
Tytel, all good points. I just want to say to those of you that are listening and not watching, we are going to be firing Tytel's cameraman.
Your camera's all over the place, John. but we got you good here. But yeah. Still, any other thoughts on this Michigan team?
Well, let's not forget they also have an ex-Buckeye and Roddy Gale Jr., who's now going to be in his second year with the Wolverines. And you've already touched on Lindeborg, who was, I think, the Player of the Year in the American last year. But as far as other scintillating rivalries that we'll be seeing out of conference, who's looking forward to the Wolverine Deacon Challenge that will be played at Little Caesars Arena this year?
Dorman, let me head back to you. Mick Cronin's team, number 12 preseason in the preseason polls. I'm not quite as high on them nearly as Purdue and Michigan. I personally think that Purdue and Michigan are going to be head and shoulders above the rest of this conference. But is UCLA that third team that could challenge here?
I think they're in the mix. I have a few other teams I like ahead of UCLA. I think they're a little overrated in my book coming into the season. I did see a bunch of early season outlets put UCLA anywhere from 3rd to 7th in the conference. I think they're a little overrated, but Mick Cronin, as you mentioned there, Chet, he is going to defend. He is going to make his guys get up in their opposition space, and he's going to defend. So if they are as good on defense as they have been in years past, they'll be tough to beat. It's going to be tough road trips going out west again for all these Midwest and East teams. So there's a little factor there, but it's tough for UCLA when they go east. The weather doesn't get any, the weather gets bad for them. He was complaining last year about all the road trips to the East Coast, but I don't know what he was thinking about when he signed up for this Big Ten conference. We're not moving schools to California for him, so he needs to stop the complaining, play these conference games, and I think he's got a solid group of talent this year. I got him landing in the middle of the Big Ten.
You forgot one other thing, Dorman. They're going to lose a couple games they're not supposed to. He's going to question their toughness. That's basically part of the Cronin lifestyle.
Yeah, I was going to say, Griggs, if Mick Cronin's not complaining, what is he doing?
Right, and here they are ranked 12th. I could be. Tell me if I'm getting this wrong, but generally speaking, UCLA or any Mick Cronin coach team, all the way really back to Murray State and certainly at Cincinnati, will exceed expectations when people are expecting them to be so-so. Then those are the really good teams. When they have talent and when they have high expectations, he fails to meet them.
So this is bad news for them this season.
Yes, I mean, it would be better off if they were not in the rankings and picked to finish about 7th or 8th.
There actually were 3 other teams that were in the preseason rankings in the 17 to 25 type of range. Tytel, I know you wanted just one of those 3. The Wisconsin Badgers this season.
If you were surprised by their offense last year, you weren't alone. 80 points per game was the school's best in 54 years. And their 82.6 free throw percentage is the second best in the history of the sport. They bring back honorable mention shooting guard John Blackwell. He was the most consistent scorer in the country. In his 27 wins, he scores 15.8 a game. In his 10 losses, he scores 15.6 a game. Very consistent. And a couple transfers. Andrew Rohde from Virginia. He led the Hoos in assists and steals last year. They bring in a 24-year-old point guard, not from the G League, but from San Diego State, in Nick Boyd. You might remember him from the 2023 Final Four with FAU. They bring in power forward Austin Rapp from Portland. He was the 2025 Rookie of the Year in the West Coast Conference. The only two freshmen in the country who made more threes than him last year, Trey Johnson, lottery pick, Con Knippel, lottery pick.
So Titel, where does Wisconsin finish this year? Can they challenge Purdue and Michigan near the top?
I think they're going to be just below just because they lost guys like John Tanji to the NBA and people like that. But if the transfers can bring it like the guys they lost, I think they'll be in striking distance. Do I think they're going to score 80 again? Not so much.
Not so much. Griggs.
What's that?
I'm sorry. I thought you had a comment on
Oh,
Wisconsin.
no. Wisconsin is a team that I always seem to overvalue, and I'm doing it again this year. I don't think they're as good as Purdue, but I think they're a lot better than what people think. I could see them finishing way up in the standings.
Stalika, who else are you looking at near the top of this conference besides UCLA and Wisconsin to challenge the Purdue and Michigans?
I think you also have an Illinois team that ran pretty hot and cold last year, where they could beat a top 10 team one week and they would be losing to subpar USC teams the following week. Now, as far as who's coming back, Tomislav Ivisic, Kylan Boswell via Arizona, and Ben Humerkus are a couple of their players. Now, Ivisic's brother Zvonimir is also traveling up from Arkansas, and he'll play with the Illini this year along with Andrei Stojakovic, who's coming over from Cal. Now, as far as who's going to be on Illinois' schedule, they get Maryland, Nebraska, and Northwestern twice. So they get a somewhat easy conference schedule. But as far as out of conference, they get UConn at Madison Square Garden. They're also going to be playing Alabama at the United Center. And they're going to be playing Tennessee down in Nashville in what will be a de facto road game. And they'll also have their rivalry game with Mizzou.
Yeah, this seems to be like a Titel. This is one of your types of rosters, though, on Illinois. You've got two Ivicevic's, a Stojakovic, a Petrovic, and a Merkovich. I mean, everybody's name ends with IC on this team.
That's why they can roll out the all-Balkan roster, for real.
It is. It's a heck of a, it could be the national team for I don't know what country they're all from, if they even are from the same country.
If you look at Illinois and Xavier's roster, we can have the HoopsHD spelling bee right there.
But Dorman, how about Tom Izzo's squad this season?
Yeah, I like Tom Izzo's squad. Last year, he finally decided he was going to go to the portal, and it seemed to work out well for him. So he's going there again. Their schedule, Tom Izzo, when the Big Ten starts, Tom Izzo's team will be absolutely ready to go. They'll be ready to roll. He has put together some of the toughest teams in the country. He's going to he's going to play Arkansas. He's going to play Kentucky. He's going to play Carolina. He's going to play Duke. Every top blue blood in the country, Michigan State will be playing. So his guys will be ready. And I really think this is his chance to have one of his better years. I think the talent is finally top of the Big Ten level. And I look for Sparty to be, I got him right there as third or fourth in the Big Ten. I got a big year coming for Izzo.
Yeah, is this vintage Michigan State? Is this vintage Tom Izzo? Are we going to see a team with high expectations and a lot of talent, but that doesn't gel right away? And then they get into the have a pretty good season, get into the NCAA tournament as a 7, 8, 9, maybe even a 10 seed, and then go to the Final Four.
I do look at this team. I think they may gel quicker though, Griggs, just because he's got four returning players from last year that all were significant contributors, which is a lot these days. That's a ton. That's like when you bring your top 8 guys back a few years ago.
Right. I mean, the point is, when Michigan State's a 7 seed, you better watch the hell out.
True. Very true. Grace, let me stick with you. What about going out west here? What about Dana Altman's Oregon squad? Do you like them heading into this season?
I do. Now, I mean, I realized last year they won 25 games, had a pretty impressive season. Uh, I always feel like Oregon as a program is kind of being undervalued. Dana Altman's done a phenomenal job. They are rebuilding. Only two starters are back. And while they have a lot of guys that are clearly that have potential, I don't know. I kind of wish you would have gone to me as somebody else because my comment on them is while they're talented, while they have potential, and while they have some pieces, are they going to gel immediately? Are the pieces going to fit together? Because you're basically talking about their potential more than you're talking about guys that are actually proven players that have played together. They're kind of a wild card, but given their history and given how good of a coach I think Dana Altman is, if you're asking me, I think they'll be good. I think they will be.
So, Titel, do you agree with him? Do you think, or do you? I kind of don't agree with him because I think Oregon has a chance to be a lot better than that. Even I think this team could be in play for maybe fourth or so in the conference.
Ooh.
I would dispute that. I believe in
Okay.
Biddle and Shellstack because I've seen them beat
That's
up
what
on
I
Arizona
like.
in many years past, but I think that they lost a lot of other players. And even though Altman is Hall of Fame worthy, I'm just worried that they don't have the depth to compete. But correct me if you think I'm wrong.
I like the top of that, and I just look. Nobody has a returning roster after Purdue, really. So, uh,
Yeah.
uh,
Well, that's a good point. Yeah. I mean,
Dorman. Uh, Beyond these teams we discussed already, um, what about a team like USC? Eric Musselman's squad out there. Anything you like on that on them?
Let's see if the Must-Busts can get going here. Struggled last year. I don't think. But the reason is that, like we just discussed with all these, he just doesn't have a lot of returning pieces. And now he went to the portal and he got some nice players. I just don't see them gelling quick enough to become a factor in the Big Ten because it is loaded at the top. I believe in Musselman. I think he's a fantastic coach and he's done it everywhere in college basketball last 10 years. I just don't love the overall talent, and I don't see the big time scores enough to push them through to be able to beat the likes of Michigan and Purdue and stuff this year.
All right. Well, maybe if not them, Salika, you're an Ohio guy. How about the Ohio State Buckeyes?
I think an Ohio State University is
Mhm.
probably going to be the tipping point for the Big Ten as to they're probably middle of the pack, but also going to be the cutoff as to where you potentially have an NCAA tournament team or whether you have an NIT or whatever the hell postseason is going to be in line for them. Bruce Thornton's going to be their main cog as far as who's coming back. You're also going to have John Mobley Jr. and Devin Royale. You've also got Brandon Noel, who's going
yeah.
to transferring along I-70 from Wright State. And I think the big offseason news for the Buckeyes just happened this past week is where they get like five-star recruit Anthony Thompson, not related to the former IU player, but that will be for next year. Now, as far as who the Buckeyes are going to be playing, they're going to have Notre Dame. They have a return game at Pitt along with a game up in Cleveland against West Virginia. And I think, oh yeah, they also have North Carolina as part of the CBS Sports Classic and a rare game in February against Virginia, which is going to be played in Nashville for some reason.
That is an odd one.
There you go. Yeah, I guess Ohio State last year, I think they lost a ton of close games.
Yeah.
But I think they also lost some players, so I don't think they're going to be. I kind of agree with Slick. I think they're going to be on the wrong side of that bubble, Griggs. But go ahead.
I think they're going to be right on it. I mean, it's impossible to say now exactly where they're going to be. I think they'll be a little better than last year, but I could see them sneaking in, but I think they're a bubble team.
Ohio State, obviously a football school. Titel, how about the Big Ten's other big football school, the Indiana Hoosiers?
Goodness.
Oh, you were going to go Rutgers there. Very nice. I think they'll be just fine. I believe in Darian DeVries. He seems to win everywhere he goes. He brings in his son, who's a two-time MVC Player of the Year in Tucker. He brings Tucker's roommate from Drake, Connor Enright, over from DePaul. He brings in Lamar Wilkerson from Sam Houston. He was 8th in the nation in threes per game last year. He brings in Tatum Conaway from Troy, the 2025 Sun Belt Player of the Year. He brings in Reed Bailey, the 2025 A10 Most Improved Player, and three other guys who we don't have time to talk about. This is the most transfer heavy roster in the conference, I think. but I believe in DeVries, and I don't think he's going to contend with Purdue or anything for like championship aspirations, but I think they're going to be very good from the start because of all the talent.
Yeah, I do like the head coach here, so
Yeah.
which is something I've not been able to say about Indiana for a long time, Griggs.
It's been a minute. Oh, good Lord. What a
But speaking about teams bringing new players in, well, we got two more to discuss that in big time in that department. But Griggs, why don't we start with Uncle Buzz and the Maryland Terrapins, who because he brought a bunch of players with him.
Yeah. Maryland, a great season last year, 27 wins, a trip to the Sweet 16. None of the starters are back, but they have brought in a boatload of transfers, and they needed to
And
reload. They had,
Buzz
and
Williams.
they brought in Buzz
Hmm.
Williams. So, I mean, yeah, it's I'm optimistic about the Terps. I don't know. Sometimes it might take them a little bit of time to get going, at least back to the level that they were a Sweet 16 caliber team, winning 25, 26, 27 games. The conference has a lot of good teams in it, but I think their future is bright. Again, it's kind of hard to say what I think of them this year.
Yeah.
It's probably the problem that I've had more this year than any other year, and we're just gonna have this every year going forward.
Yeah,
Is
you are.
I loved to look at teams and evaluate them and who do you have back, and you can't
Yeah.
evaluate a team like that anymore. You just
You,
can't.
you can't, and that's really hard. And I mean, I've always said you never really know until the games start, but there was such a thing as a building process in general over time to where you could develop players, develop a system, develop continuity. And now it feels more like we're in sort of this fantasy football roster era to where you can look at a team and say that they have good pieces, but you don't know, you've never seen them play together before. Buzz Williams plays a certain distinct style. Does he have guys that will fit what he wants to do? I don't know.
Well, I think that you got to build that continuity maybe in November and December and get ready
Yeah,
for conference season almost. But we'll
yeah.
see as that plays out. But Dorman, a few other teams here to hit on. I know we were hoping Rocco would jump in at some point. He's not. So let me go to you with his team.
Is
How
he
about the
having
Washington
problems with
Huskies?
security? Rocco at the airport.
uh, Washington Huskies to the great Northwest we go. I think it's going to be another rough year in Seattle.
Really? Okay. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Uh,
They're my team to make a big jump this year. Maybe not tournament jump,
really?
but I think they make a big jump in the standings. But
Again, a lot
go
of
ahead.
people do like their pieces from the transfer portal. Again, like Greg's just said, it's hard to know because they've never played together before. I just thought that as far when I see the top of the Big Ten and when I see the scoring pop on some of these rosters, I just don't see where they're going to get the scores. I don't see really a big time shooter. Um, that's my biggest problem with Washington. Again, it's going to be tough travels with the Big Ten. I think they're a few years away from being at the top to the middle of the Big Ten.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. But Stalika, why don't we hit on the other big transfer school? How about the Big Ten's newest member, the Drake Bulldogs?
Well, we could say the Drake Bulldogs. 2 years ago, we could have said it was the Northwestern Missouri State team that Ben McCollum led to numerous D2 national championships. But as far as who he brought with him, he brought basically the entire
He brought
team,
Drake with him.
highlighted
We're
by,
talking Iowa, by the way, folks, not really
Yeah.
talking Drake. Go ahead.
highlighted by Bennett Sturts and Tavion Banks. He also got the Player of the Year from the Horizon League and Alvaro Folgueras, who is at Robert Morris. And then he also brings Brendan Housen over from K-State, who also was at Villanova at one point. And I guess one of their top freshmen is also going to be Trey Thompson, not the one that played at Oakland a few years back, but this will be another top 100 recruit that they'll be looking forward to.
Can we pull up their schedule, Chad?
Sure.
And I kind of want to make a point with this because while it is a transfer-heavy school, it's a very unique situation. We saw something very similar last year with St. Louis. They basically imported another school, and this is a roster that is used to playing it together, and that was good. Now I know that they were under the radar, and the Missouri Valley is not the Big Ten. But this was, I think everybody on this panel would agree, a legitimate very good team last year, and they might be a lot more ready right out of the gate than aside from Purdue, just about everybody else we've talked about.
I think Brandon Sturts is absolutely awesome. I think this kid could be a first-team All-American besides first-team All-Big Ten. Sturts can really light it up. He's got a beautiful jumper. He's able to score from anywhere on the court. Threes, can take the ball to the basket. McCollum's really a good coach in my mind.
Yeah,
I know he's come
phenomenal.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. I think Sturts really knows what he's looking for and really will get this team going. I think Iowa could be at the top of the Big Ten.
I'd like to take a moment here to welcome Rocco Miller from Practice.
Rocco got through security. Rocco, we were just discussing Drake.
Oh, no, the best. Is this the Missouri Valley preview show?
Yeah. Well, the Drake Hawkeyes.
I'll try back next week.
Rocco, I got you on the screen here, but we're going maybe about 2/3 or more way through the Big Ten, but just to give you a shot here to jump in on a couple of thoughts. First of all, we had a bit of a debate. We were just having here about this Iowa team. What do you think about them with this Drake roster and coach and everything? Mm-hmm.
I think it's a team that will get better as the season goes on, and they already have a lot of connectivity. With Cam Manuanu playing for Drake last year. And I think there's 3 total guys. Obviously, Bennett Sturts, the superstar for Iowa to make the tournament and to be towards the top of the standings like they want to be. Bennett Sturts probably needs to be the Big Ten Player of the Year, or certainly a first-team All Big Ten. I think they can do it. I think there's just some concerns. Obviously, probably saw they had an exhibition with St. Louis, got completely boat raced, but it's an exhibition and they're still probably experimenting. I think Iowa tried to play all 12 guys, whereas St. Louis played like a real game. After everything we saw from Drake, I'm going to really trust this Iowa team when games are tight down the stretch, which is a lot of Big Ten games. And certainly, like, if they need to take the air out of the ball, they were the slowest tempo team in the country. And so they're going to frustrate a lot of teams like your Wisconsins, your Washingtons, the teams that really want to go fast. I think this team can have the advantage in some of those matchups. So I like Iowa to get to the tournament. I was a little higher in the summer. I think after that exhibition game, I slowed my roll, if you will. And I've got them an 8 seed right now, kind of safely in there.
Okay, nice. Titel, let me ask you about another team here, a team that actually cut down some nets, or maybe cut down some nets last year. How about Fred Hoiberg's Nebraska team, CBC champions? And most of you probably don't even know that because you don't know who the CBC was, but they were the CBC champions last year.
The inaugural CBC champions, in fact, and if they discontinue it, the only CBC champions. Yes, credit for the Huskers for doing that. I remember when they were a football school, although it seems like a long time ago. It seems like they're unofficially a basketball school now. They bring in a couple good transfers. The one I can pronounce is Kendall Blue from St. Thomas. I will need Rocco or somebody else to help me out with the guy from Central Michigan, who was the 2025 All-MAC first-teamer.
That was your cue, Rocco.
I know. I know who he's talking about. I'm pulling up the roster. I'm a little late.
I'll give you the Ugnius as the first name if you want to handle the last name.
Yes. Let's see here.
Yes. Okay.
Jurasevicius, maybe?
Yeah, Jurasevicius. Yes. I think that's correct.
All right.
Very good, John.
Another guy with an unpronounceable last name in the Big Ten. We're full of them here.
Yeah,
most of them on the Illini.
I'm assuming we covered Illinois.
Yeah.
I can already see below we're getting clobbered on Twitter for getting the names wrong. Or whatever it's called now. X.
So what do you think about Nebraska this year, Titel? I don't think you quite finished your point there.
I think if they make the CBC again, it'll be an excellent year in Lincoln, Nebraska.
There we go. All right. Dorman, you're a Chicago guy. How about Chris Collins' squad this year? Anything you see out of them?
Well, we're going to find out. If you can believe this, Chris Collins' 13th year he's going to start in Evanston in a few weeks. The upside is first-teamer, All Big Ten, senior forward. This will be his fifth year senior. Nick Martinelli, a local product from the Chicagoland area, led the Big Ten in scoring last year. He is back. That's huge because they lost a few of their big guys up front. They're going to go with 3 transfers. Chris Collins is going to count on point guard Jaden Reed. He's from South Florida, played a solid role there last year. Max Green from Holy Cross. And the third one is Arrington Page. He played at Cincinnati. Stalika probably remembers him. He's going to. Those 3 transfers are going to need to play a big role this year because the other guys they're going to count on are 4 freshmen. And Chris Collins is high on this team. He's been talking a lot on the local media. He thinks his team is as athletic as he's had in his tenure in Northwestern. So he's pretty high on this team.
Really?
One player to watch out for, the name will probably stick out, Phoenix Gill, son of Illini superstar and NBA great Kendall Gill. He's a shooting guard. He's an athletic, up and down, played in the Catholic League, really competitive, ton of talent high school league in the Chicagoland area, and he really excelled. So they're expecting big things from him. Martinelli, I think hanging around the middle of the Big Ten would be a pretty solid year for Chris Collins. I see him missing the tournament. I just don't think he has the power like the top of the Big Ten. But if he can stick around the middle, it's a successful year in Evanston.
Yeah, my problem is the youth, Dorman. In this transfer heavy era, team relying on freshmen and sophomores. I had that with my Rutgers squad last year. Great talent, too young, can't gel, don't get the wins, and I could see a type of result for that way for Northwestern and a couple other teams that we're about to talk about too.
Yeah, and is Northwestern able to retain that over time? It is a little bit of a different program, and it's a different type of institution. I'm kind of with you guys. I'm glad Chris Collins has been in the media and high on his guys. Are we sure he's not just high?
But you're absolutely, Griggs, you nailed it. He went to get some freshmen he thought that were some top guys, but the guys that would stay in the program hopefully 2, 3, 4 years. He's looking for guys that won't just be one and done. Hopefully they won't get plucked by other power conference teams. So you're absolutely right, Griggs. He's looking for freshmen coming out of high school that can really stick around the program like Martinelli has for 4 or 5 years.
A couple of teams left here. Rocco, I want to ask you about Minnesota with Nico Medved coming in. This is another team that I could see pulling off some surprises this year. I'm not calling them an NCAA tournament team, but I could see being better than a lot of people are expecting this year.
Yeah, I think so. I think just the simple hire of Nico Medved, who's done extremely well everywhere he's been, Drake, Furman, Colorado State, and look at the momentum he's bringing to Minnesota. Colorado State was arguably the hottest team in the country entering March Madness last year. Very close, buzzer-beating loss to being a Sweet 16 coach a year ago. And obviously, you got to reset the deck here a little bit, but he did bring Jalen Crocker-Johnson with him from CSU, who's obviously a proven winner. Langston Reynolds was a very good Big Sky player at Northern Colorado, who they're very familiar with. And I just think there's a lot of good pieces across the roster. Robert Viola was like a really favorite of mine at San Jose State when he was able to get on the court. Really tenacious rebounder, aggressive player. And so I think they're going to be really tough at the barn. I think it's going to be hard to get out of the barn with wins this year. And there is some upside. Like if you're Ohio State's, your USC's, some of these teams that were not so sure about Maryland, those bubble-ish teams that we can't really get our finger on until we see them play a few times. If they all kind of go sideways, Minnesota will be ready, I think, to jump up into maybe the top 12 of the league. I think it's easy to pencil them in like 15 or 16 to start, but I just feel like they're going to constantly get better, and there's a lot of positive momentum, coming up here in Minneapolis.
I agree with you 100% on that. Two couple teams left here. Titel, let me ask you about my squad, my Rutgers Scarlet Knights. I'm a little biased here, and maybe biased the wrong way after what we saw last year. But any thoughts on whether this team can make any noise at all this year?
Of course, Chad. All they need to bring in is a couple more lottery picks, and they'll be good to go. I mean,
we got some young talent again, but it's the young talent problem that Northwestern has that I mentioned earlier, I think.
Yeah, they can have old talent, medium talent. You lost 2 draft picks. Like, you cannot replace it immediately. It just doesn't happen unless I mean, am I missing something? I don't think there's any way you can
two draft picks off of a losing team.
Yeah.
that's the piece you missed.
Yeah.
But Rock, I mean, Steve Michael's got to teach these guys to defend. That was the problem last year. He's been such a great defensive coach, and they just didn't defend last year. But maybe without having to play to a couple of lottery picks, we could see a little improvement there this season.
Sure.
Who do you want to go to first thing off here?
Yeah, now
Griggs,
that the lottery picks are out of the way,
Griggs
Griggs is all set. Great.
Griggs, how about Happy Valley?
Oh, it's not happy. It is not a happy place. I all in all, I am a little bit surprised, and I know things change. Mike Rhodes, I thought he did really well at VCU. I thought he was a solid hire for Penn State. I thought he would get them going. They're going just backwards. I think that they're 18th, and the only reason they're not 19th is because there isn't another team in the league.
But again, I congratulate them for qualifying for the Big Ten tournament this year.
Yes, yeah.
6 rounds of insanity. That does complete the entirety of the Big Ten. What I'd like to do is run through each of you now and ask you 3 questions. Number 1, who's going to win the conference regular season title? Number 2, how many bids is the league going to get? If you want to tell me what teams those are going to be, that's fine. And any other final thoughts about the conference? And Rocco, I think I'll start with you, give you a few extra minutes here to discuss any of the top teams that you have any comments on as well that you, before you were able to, as you weren't able to join us at the start of the show.
Yeah, appreciate that. I just think Purdue is so darn solid, especially adding Oscar Clough next to TKR in the front court. I just feel like they're going to fight each other for rebounds, and that's not good for the other team because they might be the 2 best rebounders on the court in almost every one of their games. And I just think for you to beat Purdue this year, you have to play nearly a perfect game. And I just think that's going to result in a lot of wins. They'll get knocked off a few times for sure. And they're not invincible, and they're not a guaranteed Final Four team, but their floor, you could argue, between them and Houston is probably the 2 highest floors in the entire country. So Purdue will be my regular season champion. Illinois, I think just an abundance of talent, probably has the most NBA players, arguably. We'll see if my Washington Huskies can match that. But we have to see how the Eastern Europeans all come together, but they are severely talented. I think they'll play a really fun style. There's also, with Isevic back and others, some glue that comes back from some success last year. So I think Illinois will, not nearby, but a couple hours away, Chicago, win the Big Ten tournament and work their way up to a 2 seed is where I have them. And then after that, I think with Michigan, probably as much as I love Dusty May and as well as I think they'll do, I probably am disappointing by not having them win you the championship. I just think at UAB, Yaxel Lindenborg had to be the all-everything guy. And I just don't know if he can cut it at the Big Ten. Every time he played Memphis, he got punked a little bit. He'll be playing teams like Memphis every night in this league. I think he's gotten maybe a little too much love in the preseason. And they're going to have to use all of their pieces there at Michigan to be successful. I still think they're in that 4 or 5 seed range. Overall, my tournament teams, Chad, I'll wrap this up, is Purdue, Illinois, Michigan, UCLA, Wisconsin, Michigan State. This is in order, by the way. Iowa in that, and I do have Indiana also in that 8 seed. I really just believe in what DeVries is going to do there. Very underrated coach on the defensive side of the ball, slowing down transition, and obviously, as long as his son is healthy, I can't really see them missing the tournament. Maybe I'm off on something, but I do have Indiana in. And then after Indiana, I have both. I couldn't decide on Oregon or Washington. Of course, Oregon has Nate Biddle back, big time front court player. Jackson Shellstad's out 4 to 6 weeks with a hand injury. I'm not sure how long that's going to linger. And with all the Dana Altman retirement rumors, I just don't know what to do with Oregon as usual. I've got both Oregon and Washington in the play-in game. I don't even know how many bids that was. I think it was 10. And I do see a world where they could get up to 11 or 12, but I only have 10 in the bracket right now.
Just quick note. So you do not have UCLA in then?
No, UCLA was a 5
okay, you did have them in. Okay,
right after Michigan.
I guess I missed that when you went to. Okay, yep. Yeah, that's and I like your pick on Washington. We had that debate right before you jumped on the podcast, actually, where I was making the case that I think this Washington team I didn't quite have them in, but I think they'd be much improved off of last year's dismal season there.
They spent a ton of money. And I mean, these freshmen are looking phenomenal with Steinbach and JJ Mandequit, plus all the talent with Claude and Yates and Zoom. And so we'll see. I mean, Kepnong being healthy will be really critical for the defensive side of the ball. I don't think a lot of these guys are great defenders. So that's where my biggest concern for the Huskies is.
Dorman, how about you?
Yes, Chad, I'm also with Rocco. I don't see Purdue taking too many regular season losses like we've all discussed earlier on when we brought them up. They have so many returning pieces that have gelled already that the rest of the Big Ten is going to try and gel in when they get going this year. I love Braden Smith. I think he's everything. I think he's, besides being a great basketball, I think he's great on the court leader for his team. I love his attitude on the court. I love the way he works with his teammates and everything. I love everything about that kid. A total winner off and on the court. So I would put I'm with Braden Smith and Purdue. They're regular season champs. I'm going with 10 Big Ten teams. I know that's going to be maybe short of most of us. I feel that towards the middle and bottom, it gets really leaky in the Big Ten. I think they're going to have trouble with the top of the Big Ten. So I think there'll be more losses compounding there. And the one thing I'll end on is I think Ohio State's actually much better than most people think. I think I can see them finishing top 5 or 6 in this Big Ten, loaded Big Ten conference. So I'll end with that. Purdue is my champ.
Purdue's your champ. Stalika.
I think we can safely say that Mike Rhodes' job at Penn State is safe, seeing as how they're already paying $47 million for James Franklin not to coach there. But that's enough. That's enough for the bottom. Let's go back to the top right here. I think Purdue, far and away, going to be the team to beat right here. I'm probably going to put, as Titel would say, the over-under at 9 Big Ten teams getting in. I think Purdue, Michigan, UCLA, Oregon, Michigan State, and Illinois for sure. But if I had to choose, I would say between 3 of the 4, between Wisconsin, Iowa, Ohio State, and Indiana. I think the Buckeyes could be the odd team out right here. But as far as a final thought, it is going to be interesting to look at UCLA right here. One of the notable pieces they added this year was Donovan Dent, who did not follow Richard Pitino to Cincinnati. Instead, he's going to head west to Mick Cronin's team. And if you look at the Bruins schedule, there's a lot of classic Pac-12 teams. If you look at Arizona, Cal, and Arizona State, and also one future Pac-12 team in Gonzaga, who is also on the schedule as they go up to Seattle.
I tell you, I hate to do a Me Too, but Salika, you have my same exact teams that I think are going to make the field, my same champion. So what he said, I agree with completely. I'm at 9 teams as well. Titel.
I think it is Purdue's conference to lose. I don't think it's a slam dunk where they're going to win the thing in late February by 4 games or anything ridiculous just because there's so much talent. But I think it's theirs to lose, so I think they'll win. I will take the over and go 10 in no particular order. Purdue, Michigan, Illinois, UCLA, Ohio State, and Michigan State, I think, are all safely in. I have not heard a lot of talk about USC, but they always bring in so much talent. I know Elijah Arenas is like a danger to himself, but assuming he's safe and healthy, he's legit if he ever gets there. And then as far as 8th, 9th, 10th teams, I think that the Ducks, Iowa, Indiana, Maryland, Wisconsin are all in the mix for 2 or 3 spots. So I don't know exactly which 10, but I think they'll get 10. With Purdue taking it all. As far as a fun fact, we kind of take it for granted now just because it happens every year, but Tom Izzo's made 27 straight NCAA tournaments, which you've come to expect it, like death taxes and Izzo and the tourney. But I just want everybody to take a second to think about a lot of coaches don't even make 27 tournaments or coach 27 years, and he's made 27 in a row. Props.
Just a quick note for coming from Rocco. Arenas for USC is out for the season, Titel. So
then they're out.
Then let's go back to 9. How about that?
They still have a 7'5" shot blocker from Youngstown State, so that'll be fun.
Yeah,
Penguin fever. That's
Penguin
next.
fever.
That's
The
next
cheat
week.
code. Yes.
Griggs, you want to finish us off here?
Yeah, I'm feeling 9. I think about half the conference gets in. Purdue's my pick to win it for all of the reasons everyone's already said. I don't think I have anything to add that hasn't already been said. I love Michigan. I kind of thought Rocco had an interesting point about the guy from UAB and how much they relied on him last year. Wouldn't you think, though, Rocco, that Michigan is going to use him a little differently than UAB did? He won't have to be the all everything guy. They've got other good players.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. But that's why I think his numbers will naturally go down. Doesn't make him a worse player at all. It's just
right. Yeah.
for him to be first team All American, I just don't see it because
Oh,
Michigan's the
yeah.
kind of team that has a different leading scorer. They could have up to 6 or 7 of those types of guys.
Yeah. I like UCLA a lot, even though I was kind of skeptical about them earlier. I still think they're a really good defensive team. Illinois, Oregon, Michigan State getting there for the 27th time. I always overvalue Wisconsin, so I'm going to do that again. I like Drake at Iowa. I think they're good enough to get in. And then I don't know who my 9th team is. Maybe Indiana, maybe Washington, but maybe as many as 10. But those are the 8 that I feel pretty good about. And as far as a final thought on the conference, it is a good league, and the league has grown, but it's just not as good as it used to be. It never will be without Tim Miles in this conference.
Okay, that's enough of that. This has been our Hoops HD Big Ten preview show. I do want to thank everybody for joining us. We will be back. I believe we'll be posting it another day from now. We'll be recording just a little while here. Our Big East show is coming up next. But on behalf of Chad Sherwood, that's me, David Griggs and John Titell up here, John Sleek in the
Why
center
I'm
square,
boycotting.
David Dorman, Matt Sikowski, who we didn't even hear from. He was just kind of being a little stealth mode there. He's going to be joining us for the Big East show. We're doing it in a few minutes here. Rocco Miller from Bracketeer.org down there in the bottom line. I want to thank everybody for joining us, and we'll be talking to you again real soon.